Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, An Owner-Operator's Guide to Competing with the Big Dogs. For those owner-operators and fleet owners, this is designed to help you better understand how to recruit and retain drivers alongside the largest fleets. Today's webinar is presented by Truckstop Marketplace Platinum Partner GoToro. CEO Bruno Stanziale will be presenting today alongside Truckstop's Chief Relationship Officer, Brent Hutto. Bruno, would you like to quickly introduce yourself and your background before we move over to Brent for a quick intro?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. We're excited for the webinar today. We think there's a lot of really valuable information for everybody. So my name is Bruno Stanziale. I'm the CEO of GoToro. We have been in the business of recruiting drivers for 10 plus years. So we speak trucker and looking forward to jumping into this.
Yeah, and thanks, Bruno, for being a part of this. We appreciate you being a part of the partner platform with Truckstop, and happy that we can present wonderful products like yourself out to the market to help owner operators scale their business. And nothing more important than, if you're trying to scale your business, adding the right truck drivers and owner operators to your business. And so paramount to things. So I'm excited to be a part of this today with you and GoToro.
All right, Bruno, the floor is yours.
Okay, awesome. All right, let's jump into it. So an owner operator's guide to competing with the big dogs, right? So anyone who owns trucks and serves customers and ships a lot of goods knows that the three primary concerns you have day to day besides your customers are your trucks, your insurance, and your drivers. Can't do much unless you got drivers and seats. And it has been overwhelmingly difficult to find drivers in this market, and it'll probably remain relatively tight for the foreseeable future. So we like to try and introduce some really strong ideas, thoughts, and tactics around how an owner-operator can actually not just survive, but thrive in the opportunities that present themselves in this market. And we're going to go through some of those tactics throughout this presentation. And you know, Brent, we're in a period with tremendous opportunity, and we want to make sure that we tackle this recruitment challenge as best we can.
Yeah, well, you're right, Bruno. There's you know, we've been through a crazy time in the last 24 months, and there's no time in the last 40 years that the market's been as high and had as much opportunity in it as now. And growing and scaling your business as a fleet is hard. As an owner operator, it's even harder. And so you really need the tools and to understand the marketplace and really have a great partner to do that, because in the end, an owner operator is out there hauling freight every day and still running their business. And recruiting is probably one of the most difficult things to do because it takes a lot of effort. And so, so with the growth in the market and things happen, there is tremendous opportunity for an owner operator to grow from 1 to 2 to 3 to 5 to 7 to 9 trucks and really be able to live more of the dream that they've been chasing since the beginning.
That's right. Jump into the first slide. All right, let's face it. When you're out there competing for what seems to be an ever shrinking pool of drivers, you're out there competing with huge companies. I mean, we deal with companies that have thousands of trucks all the way down to companies that have one truck. So we kind of know all different sides of the spectrum, and we know how daunting it can be. If you're trying to find the same driver, and that driver has a lot of different choices out there, and some of those choices include companies that are just massive in scale. But the fact of the matter is, it doesn't have to be that hard if you really just know what to focus on and what really matters. So throughout this presentation, we're going to hit on three main topics. The first is how to build a big brand as a small company. Brand does matter. Drivers do care about the brand they're going to work for. So we'll talk a little bit about that. The second thing is advertising. You've got to advertise digitally. The digital playing field is huge. If you don't have a digital strategy, you just won't be able to make it, right? You won't be able to find drivers for long term, or you certainly won't be able to scale your business. However, digital advertising has to be done with a strong partner, and it does not have to seem overwhelming, and it doesn't have to be as expensive as you think. The third thing we'll talk about is retention. It's one thing to have to go out there and find drivers, But wouldn't it be great that once we exert all that energy, time, and money to find a driver, we can actually keep him or her? So we're going to talk a little bit about that retention strategy and how that should automatically be weaved into your overall recruitment strategy itself.
Yeah, and Bruno, I'm glad you're hitting on brand for the very first thing, because there's nothing more important than, in brand. And most of the time, if you're like a single truck or 2 truck operation, you don't really think about brand, but the brand you have is the brand of you. And so how do you make sure that brand is represented the best? I'm glad you're starting off with that one.
Now, that's a great point. Next slide. All right, how do we build that big brand? As Brent mentioned, all of you listening to this, put your lives into your company, right? And I think Brent put it perfectly. You're almost branding yourself, right? And here's the beauty of it. Every carrier, it doesn't matter how big, is unique. Every company has a story. The key is to articulate your story so that when a driver comes to you and is faced with 5 different opportunities, what is unique about your story?
Right.
Is it the underdog story? Is it the I started this from less than zero? What is unique about your company? Talk about the grit. Talk about the hard work. Talk about how you got your first customer, how you bought your first truck, what the company means to you and your family. Why is what you're doing important to you? It resonates. On average, drivers would rather work for smaller companies than larger ones as long as there is a story behind it.
Mm-hmm.
They want to be proud of it. They want to feel heard, and they're more than happy to jump in it with you if you can just talk about it. So let me give you an example of a carrier we worked with that was, well, it used to be small. Now they're pretty big. And they shipped product for multiple charities. And they had been doing it for years. And we said, well, look, that needs to be front and center. You need to talk about who you work with and why that's important. Well, Bruno, we've been working with these charities for over 10 years. That's something you need to talk about because that's a lot different than saying nothing. So now that driver can identify with who you are, what your mission is, what's your story, and they'll be able to understand why that's really important. You don't have to be big to have a story. You don't have to be a big company to develop a brand. It's just up to you to sit back and think about the uniqueness of who you are and your company and being able to talk about it, and it's hyper motivational. So remember, size doesn't have to matter. Talk about what's unique about you and what your mission is.
Mm-hmm.
Second thing, truckers talk, and they don't just talk on CB. They talk over beers, and they talk digitally, right? So you have to listen to what drivers are saying, not just about the market itself, but also your company specifically. You'd be shocked at how many times small companies, once they Google their company name, they see something online about their company, whether it's a driver review or something else. So we highly recommend that you understand what your digital presence looks like. Go to Google your company name, see what pops up. Make sure there aren't any negative reviews. If there are negative reviews, and you'll see them right away, post your own review or come back and say, look, we're sorry about this experience. We own it. We strive to make our company a great place to work for others. So monitor that online chatter. It's really important. Listening also means, well, listening, whether it's over a beer or a meeting in an office, talk to your team members, talk to people that you're working with now. Ask them what they like, what they don't like. Tell them to be brutally honest with you. It's really important to listen to them. You'd be shocked at how honest drivers will be if you just give them a safe place to operate in. So listen, talk to them, have conversations with them in a very sort of comfortable environment, and really start to understand where you need to improve or what you need to be doing more of. The other thing is Nothing is better than when you have a great driver and that driver refers you other drivers. That's important. Birds of a feather flock together, right? If you have a great driver who has a great safety record, very dependable, liked working for the company, very consistent, chances are that personality hangs out with like personalities. So you really want to incentivize that person to refer drivers and reward that driver for it in cash. Pay him or her for every person they refer to your company. It is still the best way to do it. Generate great reviews. When you have a driver that's happy, ask if he or she will give you a review online. You're not going to tell them what to write, but you know it's probably going to be positive because they're happy. So definitely weave that in. So you have a really good online presence, because increasingly drivers, particularly ones that have 5 to 13 years of experience, they go online a lot more than you think. You need to make sure you have that online presence buttoned up. The third thing is sort of keeping in line with what we're talking about here in terms of the online and digital presence, your website. What does your website look like, right? It's really your first impression. People, almost any experiential base, it's always going to go online and take a look and see what they can find out about you or your company. If they land on a web page that looks horrible, what are they going to think about your company, right? Or if there's zero presence, they kind of wonder how well the company's doing. Is this a company I want to be a part of, etc. So your website is that digital conduit to who you are. On your website, you want to talk about the things we talked about in the previous slide. Who are you? What makes you unique? What values do you have? Why is what you're shipping important? Who are your coolest customers? That should be there on your webpage. And the beauty of it is there are dozens of companies that will help you spin up a website for $100 or less. All self-service. Wix.com is an example. W-I-X. So cheap. Takes you about 15 minutes, and you can have almost a professionally done website within a matter of a day that you do, and it's very easy to maintain. What I would also say is look at your competitor's website. If you have a competitor, go online, see what they're doing. Because if you have nothing and your competitors all have like pretty nice websites with a real view and vision and something people can relate to, there's a good chance that they're going to get that driver before you if it's a jump ball. Okay, so you can build a big brand as a small company. Here are 3 pointers in how you do it.
Yeah, those are all fantastic, Bruno. I mean, that's that's like a PhD in starting your business there. When you're trying to talk to drivers out there about coming and joining your business. And the first one when you said size doesn't matter, and really in today's world, size doesn't matter because technology allows you to compete with people that have more than you because it gives you access. So the ability to have access to things is no longer only for the few or for the people that have giant amounts of resources. So that's really a wonderful thing, and technology that can allow you to have access to freight, that can have access to a payment platform, that have access to routing, optimization, all the things that go into making that driver you're trying to recruit, making their job easier, making your ability to show them that you can operate like a big company, just like they do, by showing them via the technology that can do that. And then the thing you were talking about brand, is on the website and online presence. That's probably the most important thing. Nobody just picks up the phone anymore typically and just makes a phone call and says, tell me about yourself. You know, it is sorry about that. I'm going to go to the internet. I'm going to find out information about the company, and I'm going to see, oh, do I want to even give them a call? So the point about a website is, and you just pointed this out, it takes very little to make you look successful. People want to get behind things that are successful. They want to join groups that are successful. They want to be a part of something that's successful. So present your brand, the brand of you, via a website in the best way possible. And there's, in Brent's opinion, there's no excuse for not having a website that communicates your value very clearly. And the last thing you talked about truckers talk, and you need to listen. After 24 years of being in this thing, I can tell you right now, if you don't listen to that truck driver that you would want to come and join your business, or if you don't listen to the ones you already have, they won't be there long, and the ones that you want to come in won't be, because if anything, this industry really cares about the relationship. It's very important to them. And if they feel like they could have a strong relationship with you and your business, then man, you've got a great shot at adding them to your business. So that's 3 wonderful things to start with.
No, I agree. And you're absolutely right. It's just a function of taking that step. Make sure you use those resources to your advantage. It works wonders, and they're very easy steps to take.
Mm-hmm.
Slide, I guess we can move on.
Yeah, man. Let's go to the next one.
All right. So
there you go.
Now this is where the technology piece really comes into play to level the playing field. So Brent said it perfectly. Technology is the great equalizer.
It really is.
It really is. And it can make you just as big and bad as any of the huge carriers out there. And the reality is, digital advertising, look, I would love it in some way if like every trucker you found was a referral from a great trucker that you already had. The reality is that only makes up about 10% or so of hires at most.
Right.
So your ability to digitally advertise for your jobs to find truckers is absolutely critical. You have to have it. And you have to be present digitally in a very big way on a relative basis. So you need to be able to tap into the best technology processing companies that can provide that for you, right? So the first thing you need to look out for as you're developing your digital job advertising plan is make sure that you partner up with someone, well, GoToro does this, but with anyone that has consumption-based job advertising, right? What that means is you should not be paying the same amount of money as a large carrier. If you're just looking to hire 2 drivers, a job advertising company worth their salt is going to be able to tell you, hey, if you're looking for 2 drivers, you probably need about 15 leads to speak to, and that'll translate into 2 hires. And the price for that is X, Y, or Z, right? So it really is based. You can have a superior, technologically driven job advertising partner that fits your budget. That's key. It is not out of reach. It depends on your specific need. That's why we work with about 35+% of our business is working with owner operators that have 15 or fewer trucks, because we design pricing plans that fit their budget, and we're very precise in how we go to the market and spend that money to find just what you need. Okay, so consumption-based job advertising that fits your needs so that they're budgets that work for you is the first point I would make. The second point seems obvious. Sometimes it's not, though. You've got to work with someone that has superior technology. The reason why we're able to work with smaller budgets generally is because our technology enables us to do that, right? So the first thing you want to look for is you don't ever want to work with a partner that takes your money and puts it on one venue, that just puts it on Indeed and walks away.
Right.
Heck, you guys can do that. You don't need anybody for that, right? If somebody just wants to do that, pay them $10 an hour for their time. That's it. You want someone that can take a budget and be able to dynamically manage that budget across a ton of different channels. In other words, the ability to go from Indeed to ZipRecruiter to Jobs to Careers to Vets in Trucking to any number of the close to 100 venues we work with. Facebook, all the different social media channels we tap into. So you want somebody that can take that money and has the real unique advantage that you could never do on your own, which is put that money to work in any venue that works. Because here's the reality, that changes. Certain CDLA drivers or over the road or teams, sometimes Jobs to Careers is great, but that can change in any month or any week. and it can switch to Talroo, or it can switch to Facebook, or it can switch to Indeed. So you need a platform that can monitor and measure that in real time and be able to adjust where your money's spent to make sure it's efficient and it's working. Static job posting does not work. It has to be dynamic. And that's all about technology.
Yeah.
So make sure you understand the technology that your partner's using. That would be the second point. The third point is, despite all that technology, guess what? You still need a human touch. You just need to know where to put in the human touch, right? So we express that in a couple of different ways. Firstly, we have a dedicated account manager for every single customer. Every customer that comes through our doors has a single individual that is held accountable to the performance of their job advertising campaign. Sometimes you want to talk to someone. We set up structured meetings. We are as available as you're willing to let us be, so that you have someone that you can hold accountable to how things are going and you can strategize with. It's really important because we are consultative. How should your job ad look? How can we incorporate your mission into the job ad? How do we make your job ad stand out? How do we position it properly? Oh, by the way, are your salary and benefits consistent and competitive with your competitors? We have all that data, so we can tell you, hey, guess what? There's advertising for the same role, same region for $2 an hour more. You're never going to get an applicant. By the way, your benefits are spectacular. You need to accentuate that on your job ad. So there's that white glove approach backed by data and technology that enhances the experience. So you have a human touch backed and powered by the best technology out there. So that's really, really important. The second piece of the human touch that's important is if you're super busy and we're generating a lot of leads digitally and you don't have the time to call them, that's a problem that we see constantly. But Bruno, you guys are generating so many leads, we love it. But I got a business I'm running. I'm wearing 5 hats. I'm fixing a truck. I'm picking out jobs on the board. I got to unload stuff. I'm getting my hands dirty. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I don't have time. We have a call center that will literally call into not just a driver database that's in excess of 700,000 drivers that we have now, but we'll even call the lead and schedule a call for you. So we'll call them up and say, look, just wanted to double check your credentials are solid. You're applying to XYZ owner operator company. We're going to set up a call with you and the owner himself or herself. So we go an extra step to try and alleviate the burden. We won't sell your company. That's up to you. That's not something we do. But we'll take it right up to the point where that driver gets on the phone with you and then you can lock them down. Okay, so the human touch is a part of our business model that will never change. The third time is anytime you're looking to deal with a partner, time in the market is critical, right? Kind of like think back to when you started your company, you got your first truck. It's hard to tell someone you just started driving. It's hard to find as many jobs as you want when you've only got 2 or 3 years of experience. The same applies for us. It took us a decade of accumulating data, understanding drivers, understanding where to find them by region, by designation, by certification. Use that to your advantage. That's 10 years of digital recruiting and talking trucker that we bring to your recruitment effort. Very important. So just to sum up, you can afford this. If you're with the right partner, they know what you need, they can establish a budget that works. You got to work with superior technology. Otherwise, what's their real value? You can post a job ad, right? The third thing is you got to have someone that has accountability. You want to be able to call someone, develop a relationship with the company, and be able to get that consultation, and especially as it relates to spinning up the job ad, and also the ability for people to call the drivers and take it a step further and schedule the interview with you.
Right.
And the fourth and final thing is time is your friend in this business. The more data your partner has, the more they understand trucking and how the industry has evolved, the better a partner they're going to be because they can empathize with your needs.
Yeah, man. My
Any
Bruno,
comments on all that?
those are fantastic points, man. Here's what I'd say to every owner operator out there. Don't bring a knife to a gunfight.
Yeah,
You,
I like that.
owners of businesses, people that really scale their businesses are really good at thinking in this way, which is strategically. You have to know what is the thing you need to, what are things you need to keep inside your company, and what are the things you need to like use outside resources for. Certainly for as large as this market is and as fast as it moves and as difficult it is moving and making a profit in freight, hiring an outside firm to help you think strategically about recruiting and framing your business up for hiring drivers and scaling your business. I couldn't think anything more than thinking strategically, because the smart owners think strategically. And you know, and I also think about GoToro, and this is why we're interested. We're a fan of GoToro at Truckstop, is that they go after your market. Most recruiting companies are going after a different part of the market, and we certainly understand why. But we are interested at Truckstop in helping owner operators grow and scale their businesses, and that's why GoToro's approach to that 1 to 15 segment is really, really unique. And so these 4 things are really important to you gaining the right partner and thinking strategically about growing your business.
Right. All right, next slide.
Yeah.
So this one's kind of cool and a little bit counterintuitive. I mean, technically this would put us out of business, but that's okay. Because
not really. Yeah.
we think it's important. Look, you're always going to have to find drivers. Let's be honest. You know, recent data suggests that about turnover, your average carrier is about 77.5%. That's really high. It's too high. You know, we would love to see that over time, that turnover rate of your drivers go down precipitously. So, you know, we can't be a real partner unless we talk to you about how you can retain your best drivers, right? That's just part of what we have to do to be a true partner. So retention's critical. You want to keep those good drivers. You want to make sure that they're happy enough that another carrier can't woo them away just because they pay them another $1 an hour, right? Or another 2 cents a mile. That is so frustrating. So, you know, it would be a lot easier if your best people stayed forever. So the best form of hiring, as we always say, is retention.
Yeah.
Right? So let's talk a little bit about how we can put together an easy to implement retention strategy. Show your drivers how competitive your pay is. And this kind of feeds into the previous slide where we're helping you through data understand what is competitive pay and benefits versus not. What's the right combination of things to offer a driver to be competitive? A lot of times it's not just pay and benefits, it's home time, it's a new cab, it's working with certain customers, it's hauling certain freight, it's how physical they have to be or not, right? We help create a picture of a more holistic view of why a driver is blessed to work for your company. So don't just think dollars and cents. We help you create that story. But once a story is created, you want to make sure your drivers are aware that you are competitive. Okay? So sit down, be open about it. If you're not open about it, they're going to look around. You know, address the elephant in the room once in a while. Do it in a very relaxed environment. Hey, how's the home time doing for you? How's the enhanced medical doing for you? How's that pay doing for you? We want to be the best we can for you. And if you know what the market dictates is competitive and you know what you're giving, and that driver still isn't happy, at least you know you went in eyes wide open and you did everything you could. Transparency is key. People fight it, but trust me, it is one of the biggest parts of retention.
Biggest part.
So the second thing is benefits matter, intangible and tangible. One of the things that we do, we're the only vendor out there in digital recruitment agency out there that does this. We offer access to earned wage access companies. We partner with one called Immediate Now. and it is zero cost to the carrier, zero. All it is once the driver has earned his or her wage, they can go into an app and they can download a X percent of what they've earned, and they can get paid on the spot for an ATM-like fee.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Right. Now think of how empowering that is. It does nothing to your accounting system or your finances whatsoever. Immediate pays the driver, and you pay immediate what you were going to pay the driver anyway at the normal time, the normal pay date. It is called financial wellness for a reason, and it's adopted and supported by all the regulatory bodies because it enables a person to access their money for a couple of dollars, and it prevents them from going to a high interest rate credit card, asking you for an advance, or God forbid, going to one of those high interest rate payday loans. So it's financial wellness, and it is a benefit. And if you're a driver and you're competing, or you're looking at 3 different jobs, one with Penske, one with Ryder, and one with your company, that you offer earned wage access, who are they going to go with? All things being equal, your brand has just gone up. You're offering an innovative benefit that makes you look a lot bigger and innovative than you may be at zero cost to you. This is why you got to think outside the box. And that type of offering gets brandished on your digital job ad. So we offer it, we put it together, that partnership, purely to figure out ways to give our partners an edge out there looking for qualified drivers. So the third thing is mentorship. It's been a lot of studies have been put out on this. Drivers that are mentored or have a consistent buddy in the company tend to stay. So anytime you hire a new driver, buddy that person up with another driver, whether it's you or whomever. Make sure it's consistent. Make sure you're creating an environment where they're consistently interacting. Drivers love that. They want the camaraderie. Just because they're okay being in a cab for days or hours on end doesn't mean that they don't want any connectivity to the company. Mentorship's important, particularly for the group of drivers that have anywhere from 3 to 10 years experience. They thrive on that. The fourth thing is show a career path. What would it mean if your driver was there with you for 5 years or more? What does it mean to them? Why should they care? Do you want them to be mercenaries, or do you want them to feel that, hey, every year that I drive with this company, I can become something bigger than I am now? Lay it out, show them a path, whether that path is simple raises, ratable raises, whether that path is, hey, you're going to do more home time, whether that path is, we're going to prevent you from doing any heavy lifting. Once you drop off a load, you're not going to do any of it. We're going to figure it out a different way. There's all different kinds of ways that maturity or time with your company leads to a better benefit. The benefit does not have to be an increase in pay. It could be better health insurance. It could be offering health insurance. It could be, once you're here for 3 years, I offer you dental, right? It's a number of different things that can be offered to show them a career path with increased benefits and opportunity. Okay? Strategy. Drivers, particularly in smaller companies, love feeling invested in the overall strategy of your business. For instance, it could look a little something like this. Hey, Al, you've been with me a year and a half. We love you working with us. I'm thinking about doing X, Y, and Z with the company. I'm thinking about going after this type of customer. I'm thinking about expanding this way. What do you think? Get them involved in the process so they don't start looking at the company as just a paycheck. When a driver starts to relate to the future of a company, they're really hard to poach, and they really want to stay. Involve them wherever possible and practical into the goings on at the company and the overall strategy. The last one, and I think this is kind of cool, and this resonates a lot with the younger drivers who are driven a little bit more by experience and less about money, which is kind of cool in a way. Cool trucks don't hurt, right? Um, Drivers like cool trucks. Wherever possible, upgrade. We're not saying,
Yeah.
money's always an issue, clearly. I don't want to be naive, but whenever you can add a bell and whistle, particularly a bell and whistle in the cab that actually can add some efficiency, that's great. I think that the market for cabs is cooling off considerably. It may be an opportunity now if you've been holding off to make some upgrades, do some different things, but that is a benefit. And as Brent will probably tell you, doing this a heck of a lot longer than me, drivers do care about what they're getting into,
They do.
right? They want a cab that's got the latest bells and whistles where possible. So all those points, I guess I laid out 6 points there, are all meaningful contributions to taking that existing set of great, valuable drivers and making it far less likely that they'll leave.
Yeah, that's fantastic stuff, Bruno. Here's what makes me think about when I mentioned in the previous slide about thinking strategically. Unfortunately, one of the number one things that small business owners don't think about or neglect to really have a great handle on is HR, the HR aspect of their business. These 6 points of what you just talked about are really HR, and that just means how are you dealing with the people that are helping you grow your business? I had a great boss one time say 100% of our greatest assets walk out the door every day at 5 o'clock. And so you've got to pay attention to the people that are helping you get across the goal line to make the touchdown. And so that's just so important. And the things that you talked about, certainly pay is important, but the other things as well. You were talking about cash flow advances. You were talking about showing that you care about where they're going in their life with mentorship and career path and setting strategy for the drivers. Well, that's what an owner does. As you scale your business, you got to think strategically. And the HR aspect and the fact that GoToro you have a module on your business that allows them to do this, to help them do this, that's uncommon. And so it just shows again why GoToro could be a good option for an owner operator to help scale their business by adding new drivers. So what a great outline for this. And yeah, you know what? Cool trucks never hurt either. And certainly whether it's helping them find the next truck or be in the next truck or add to the truck they bring to the business. Because a lot of owner operators, when they hire owner operators, that owner operator brings a truck with them. And how are you helping them keep their home away from home looking as great as it possibly can? So yeah, all great points, Bruno.
And I think that should round it out. Next slide should be the closing slide. I want to thank Truckstop
Yeah, man.
for allowing us the opportunity to partner with y'all. I mean, it's been a great experience.
Well,
Like I said, we're committed to the owner operator community. We've been working a significant amount of our business around the challenges specific to all you folks, and we just want to continue to evolve with you and help everyone here get to the next level. And really appreciate the opportunity to deliver this today.
Well, thanks, Bruno. It's our mission to help every person in the transportation industry find success, and we can't do it without great owner operators and great carriers in the marketplace, because you can't get anything moved without a truck. And so without them, you can't get it done. And the most important part of what we do as a business is supplying that capacity to the marketplace. So glad you guys are part of the partner marketplace, and thank you so much for your presentation today.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Bruno. Thanks, Brent. Have a great day, everyone.